All right, so my name is Jordan Shannon. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. I grew up playing hockey. I started when I was about 7, 8 years old, and I played in Virginia just about my whole life. I grew up in the South where hockey was pretty much desolate. A lot of people in the hometown didn't even know we had an ice rink. So when I got on the ice, it was interesting. There wasn't many black kids. In fact, I was one of maybe two at the whole rink. So for most of my life, it was usually that kind of situation where it was just one, two black kids around. But for most part, I never really felt out of place. I never felt like I wasn't welcome. And I love the game. I have no regrets about the game. And it was incredible all the way through from youth hockey, junior hockey to college hockey. I've had some great experience with hockey, and I owe it to the game of hockey for the man I am today. So I'm gonna give it over to Larry.
Yeah, like you said, Larry Adigoke. I was born in Gainesville, Florida. I moved to Atlanta when I was about 9 years old. Started playing hockey when I was about 8 or so. Honestly, most of my life I played inline hockey up until about 13 is when first time I even laced up ice skates, because when I started playing inline hockey, I was pretty good at inline hockey, and they're all like, man, you got to play ice hockey. So I had no intention of playing ice hockey because I just really loved the game of hockey, period, of inline hockey. So I just played it for fun, really, I didn't think of it as a career or, pursuing it any further. But I got on the ice, really enjoyed it. A lot of my friends played. Obviously, growing up in the South, ice hockey isn't popular to begin with, especially in Georgia. Obviously, being an African-American, I was one of maybe 2 or 3 African-Americans that played hockey there. But me and the other African Americans that played hockey there, we were really close. We were good friends. We still talk all the time to this day. I played 3 years of junior hockey, started in Atlanta with the Atlanta Knights, for a couple of years. And I went to Hampton Roads and played with the Whalers. And then from there, I played in the EHL with the Philadelphia Revolution.
Oh, well, yeah, he elected to go last, right? Yeah. Name's Aaron Atwell. Grew up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm a first-generation Canadian. My parents and sisters are from the Caribbean. So I'm the first person in my family, even immediate family and relatives, to ever lace up skates, let alone play hockey. I grew up playing in Toronto. I played House League for a bit, Double A for a bit, played Triple A for the Young Nats and the Toronto Marlies. I played junior here for 4 years, played junior A with Streetsville Derbies, Pickering Panthers, Toronto Junior Canadians, and 2-time All-Star in juniors. Played at York University for a year. Didn't go too well. Decided to leave school to Coast Camp, lockout year. Trickled down, found myself in the SPHL, and kind of was up, down between there and the Federal League. Went to Europe for a bit, and here I am.
That's me. Name's Eric Masters. Grew up Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Started playing when I was 5. Followed my brother's footsteps. My mom, they're immigrants. My dad was from Jamaica. My mom was from Guyana. But my brother ended up playing when he was like 12 years old. His first time, he laced him up, and I followed right after him. And I just played single A, I'll be honest. I didn't even know it was going to be a part of my life. Then I moved to the States, and I didn't have much when I moved to the States, right? Like, I was, I don't know, it was weird for me because I was a black guy that grew up in the prairies of Canada, and I came to the States, and a lot of people thought, hey, like, you don't even have black people in Canada, right? I was like, okay, well, anyways, I'm here to play. I ended up playing junior B. I went from single A to junior B for the Whalers down there when I was 16. Then I went up to Richmond Generals, and I started playing there for 2 years. And then I made the leap to junior A up in Canada, played in the Noge, Elliott Lake. Then I went and played in Dryden, got to Dudley Hewitt Provincials for junior A Tier 2. Ended up getting recruited by Liberty University, played D1 there. and then ended up playing in the Fed right now. So I'm playing professional. It's funny. I didn't think I'd be playing right now, but here I am. Let's see how far I can go. So.
Hell yeah.
So, what's up, everyone? Name's Alex Grove. First off, want to thank Dan and Lucas for having us on here. Big fan of the show. Can't wait for you guys to call one of my games in Hudson. But my name's Alex Grove, born in Greenville, North Carolina. Moved up to Waldorf, Maryland, and when I was about, I think, 4 or 5 years old. Picked up a stick and put on the laces at the age of 8 with the Southern Maryland Sabres. I'm a biracial man. Father's white, mother's black. Played with the Southern Maryland Sabres for about 7, 8 years. Then played Double-A with the Loudoun Enforcers, now known as the Loudoun Knights in Loudoun County, Virginia. Recent graduate, and now a rookie forward for the Hudson Havoc under Brett Wall.
Great. Now that we know who everyone is here and who we've brought together today, I got to start right here with everyone. I think that we look at the game of hockey, and we were talking before this kind of about your experiences so far in the game. We have a player here from junior hockey, players who have played collegiately, players playing currently professionally, inline skaters as well. Can you talk about, I guess we'll start, Jordan, with you. Can you talk about your experiences in the game of hockey as a black hockey player? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, just alone, when you walk into the locker room, everybody immediately notices you. And they always want to wonder how good you are at the game. So there's a lot of pressure when you walk into a new team or you walk into a new rink. But once you do get comfortable in those rinks, it's almost like you're kind of built into a family. And the teammates that you have over the years, they get to learn more about you and your culture, and they kind of open up to their heart to you and the background that you have. So growing up, I had a lot of great teammates that kind of helped me along the way when things got rough or things got hard, or when I felt like I was kind of out of the ordinary. They kind of reassured me that I was, a part of this game, a part of the team. And that was a big reason why I kept playing the game. Again, I had a lot of people to look up to. Dustin Bufflin actually played in the AHL for the Norfolk Admirals when I was growing up. I met him at the rink, my first couple of years of hockey. So I think those first few years of meeting those guys, and then just a few years later, seeing him go on to the Blackhawks and win a cup, that was something really special to grow up watching. And the fact that I got to meet him at a very young age was probably a big catalyst for why I kept playing the game of hockey. So for me, growing up, I definitely was just glad that I wasn't the only one around. I had teammates that were black, and I had, in the South, it's probably the only place, even though hockey isn't huge, most of the black hockey players are probably in the South, I would say. I'm not going to assume that, but, almost every team I went to, I would see at least one kid, every once in a while. So most of the time I didn't feel too alone, but again, there's definitely some stigma behind it that you got to work with throughout your lifetime.
Yeah, I would say going into the locker rooms for the first time, it's always interesting. You get that look. You look around the locker room, everybody looks back at you, and a lot of times if you don't know the guys, you're like, whoa, like, holy crap, there's a black kid on the team. Mm-hmm. And they're probably, I don't know what they're thinking, but most of the time I assume they're thinking like, oh, I wonder if he's any good, If we haven't heard him, he's probably not that good. If he's black, we probably would have seen him before. But, it's always fun getting on the ice the first time and showing them that you can play the game because they belong there. And, I've had a lot of teams I've been on, and most teams I've been on, you just feel like one of the boys. You're just one of the boys. Honestly, especially when you're playing junior hockey, you're part of a team, and your ultimate goal is to win games, win a championship, hopefully. So every day you walk in the locker room, you're not. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm black. It was just, we're teammates. Let's go practice. Let's go get better. Let's go win games this weekend. Let's win tournaments. Let's win the championship. Things like that. It wasn't, I don't think anybody, especially on my team, was thinking like, oh, wow, you're black. But until, incidents, of course, come up later on during games where, other teams and opposing teams are saying things. which, it's always good to have great teammates where, I've been in plenty of line brawls where my teammates are standing up for me because, other people are saying stuff. So, I think it's always great that you have, that camaraderie between you and your teammates that brings you guys together as brothers. They'll stand up for you. When the people are saying stuff, they're offended for you. They're embarrassed for you. They're like, no, we're not allowing that to happen. And they stand up for you too. So it's always great when you build that relationship with your teammates, and hopefully you guys have all experienced as well, where race isn't an issue on your own team, where you feel like you've been, separated from the rest of the guys because of your race.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if my experiences playing hockey were terrible, I don't think I'd be playing anymore, if all of them were.
Yeah.
We've all, I think I can say we've all had like our ups and downs and stuff throughout hockey. There's definitely been moments where, I look back at and it wasn't easy. It was always an uphill battle, even more so for myself than other players. But, I love the game. I've been on teams where my teammates have been giving me pretty well, some pretty good bonds with other players. So overall the experience, it's been awesome. I love playing hockey. I still do. There's always those bumps in the road in life, so take them as they come and just try to keep moving.
Yeah, my experience in the game, like Aaron, I think we all can say has always been up and down with the race. Just period, just been up and down. But for the most part, like pretty good. Obviously, when you're a part of a team, you're a part of a brotherhood. Or if you have that one girl in youth hockey, you're part of a brother and sister. I don't know how that works. But just you're a part of a team. You feel like you're comfortable and you have like people to back you up. And when times get rough, and when somebody calls you out your name, your teammates will be right there with you, ready to brawl, ready to go down. And I always, with the battle of dealing with race, but sometimes there'll be times where I don't even think about race. I just think about, hey, I'm just a normal guy playing the game that I love to play, and I'm not going to stop until I can't skate no more. That's been my experience.
Yeah, I know for me, it's always different when you first come into a locker room. Like, let's say it's not even your team, but like you're going to showcases, you're trying to make teams even, right? Like they're going to look at you. Like they looked at me like, okay, black guy, like what's he got? But for me, I was lucky. I had some good teammates. I'm kind of a locker guy, I would say. I like the boys, After a game, I'll be undressing for an hour or two. It's hockey's like no other sport. If you ask me, like, it's the camaraderie you have during it. Is there something else? Like, I know for me, my teammates always had my back. Even teammates or fans had my back. I was lucky in that sense. Like when heated competition, like I grew up in Saskatchewan, like Western hockey. Like I learned how to, like, you have to lay the body, and you have to let them know that you're there, right? So I always played that physical game. And I remember the first time I got called racial slur. I was like 13, playing some small town, just dummied this guy in the corner. All of a sudden, I'm skating away. I just hear it, and it's like, it's in the back of my mind. I don't even know what to say, right? But all I feel is just anger. I can't even hold my stick anymore without like shaking, right? And then next thing you know, I'm like, my coaches are just like, what's wrong? What's wrong, right? And I can't even talk to them. Like that was a lot of instances throughout junior and everything. I remember this one. We're in playoffs. It was my 20 bomb year. It happened like various times did. I finished a hit on somebody, clean hit, and one of the players called me a racial slur, and I lost it, right? Mm-hmm. My teammates, they found out what happened. They were losing it. Yeah. Coach called the league. Next thing you know, like the commissioner of the league calls me and apologizes, but nothing's happening. The guy's still playing. Still going to see him next game. But one thing, like, my team had my back. My fans had my back, right? They came to our barn up in Dryden, and next thing you know, like, got the fans. They have posters of his name and my name, right? And they're listing, like, my stats and his stats, and they're like, "We love our Masters. Like, our Masters is better than yours." That guy was shut down. He was nowhere to be seen the rest of the playoffs, right? So I think it really matters when there's other people that share their voice. So that really helps in this game of hockey we play.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, some of the most powerful people in the world are the fans in the stands, really. See, they're the ones that will really get you going alongside your brothers.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience here. Playing hockey in Kentucky is something else, man. People don't even know that you can ice skate anywhere in here, So here in Kentucky, we've got a big rivalry with a school about 20 minutes away, Eastern Kentucky, and we share the same rink as them. Obviously, we have a bigger fan base and a bigger standing than they do, but when we play each other, we play midnight games, and it's 2,000 kids outside, ready to come inside, and it's just an absolute madhouse. But I remember we played EKU. I think we ended up splitting. But at the end of the game, I'm leaving, and the kid came up to me, and he said, "Man, I almost got in a really bad fight for you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Somebody from the EKU side was, talking about you, saying some bad things about you, and I couldn't control my anger. The security guards got involved. I didn't even see it. Like, I didn't even see it from the ice. Didn't hear about it until this kid came up to me and told me. He's like, 'Man, I almost went to jail, like, for you.'" But like you said, the people that are able to speak up and feel like they have the power to say something in those instances that are uncomfortable for most people, that's what we need in this game, and that's what we need is for people to be able to speak out for what they believe in and not be afraid to step up to people that make ignorant comments or things that are disrespectful or inappropriate at any given time. No matter whether you're a fan, a player, a parent, a coach, any of that, owners of the team, it all goes for everybody. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
I think the majority of us have, we've played and played against more good people than bad people. And by bad people, I mean people of, racial slurs and things like that, comments and those kinds of things. We've played with more good people than bad people. So I try not to let the bad ones outweigh and, hold me back and, hold me down and, just keep playing those bad messages in my head and those bad statements in my head. I try to stay away from that and try and focus on the good ones, focus on all the good people you played with, even though obviously you don't want to just pretend like things don't happen or things, don't affect you, because they do, because just putting them away just, makes them add up and just get worse. But I try to just try to focus on the good things and let those build up and let the positive things build up and let those people, they're going to get what they deserve in the end anyway, not necessarily for me or whoever else, but, I believe in karma, and karma's going to come back for them. So, you just report it and go about it the right way. Obviously, sometimes I didn't do that. Sometimes, I dropped my gloves and chased guys down, slew-footed guys, suspended because they'd say stuff like that. Obviously, you can look at the stat sheets and you'll see some misconducts in there, and I guarantee you most of it's from that kind of instance.
Yeah.
But I'll be the first one to admit that I was guilty of not keeping my cool many times, which is obviously it's one of those things where it's almost impossible to. I guess we can all agree on that. When someone says something to you, it's like, wow, I've slashed the guy in the head with my stick because he said something, which I'm not proud of, but it's one of those things, rage just overcomes you when that kind of thing happens, and it's hard to keep your cool. It's hard to keep your calm. But a lot of times when it happened to me, it wasn't because I hit somebody or did something physical to somebody. They were just mad because I was literally just better than them. That's literally the reason why people would say something to me, is because I was literally just better than them. It wasn't because I physically, hit them or, did anything to them, but they just wanted to knock me off my game. And a lot of times, sometimes it got to me, but some of the times it didn't. Sometimes it just motivated me to go out there and score some more goals on them.
Yeah, I hear that.
Sure. Dude,
I feel like.
Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, with that stuff you were just talking about, when guys say racial slurs and stuff to you. One of the things about hockey that, and I know this is going to sound bad and violent, is that when something like that happens, you can get back at someone within the confines of the game. So, my dad would give me lessons. Like my parents are old school Caribbean, so they have weird ways of dealing with things. And he'd be like, well, if a guy says something to you, you play them 4 more times. So just act like nothing happened for 3 games. In that 4th game, when he thinks he's safe, like take him out. And it would be clean. I don't really get that many misconducts, but I'd catch him sleeping. So that kind of stuff, it doesn't really justify or like balance anything out, but it makes you feel a little bit better being able to like defend yourself from that standpoint. But the more difficult stuff is not even like sometimes like the slurs, it's just how you're treated. I know we were talking about that before, about getting dues and stuff. And there's times where you're just treated a certain way, or somebody who's actually partially in control of you going to another level, or you playing somewhere else. And one of my good buddies, Alu, he's been battling some stuff going on with racism all the way up from grassroots levels to through to the NHL and the firing of Bill Peters. And, a guy, like coach like that, like just has control over your career. And sometimes you don't even have to do anything wrong. And that stuff is harder to battle against than like someone calling me the N-word, or saying like wrong sport, you should be playing basketball, or calling me a monkey, or, it's those things that really kind of hit home, or put you in places where when you leave the rink, you're still thinking about it. Like the next month, you're still thinking about it. Like years from then, like you might still ponder about it. Like, man, like, but there's nothing you can do. If it's just some idiot kid saying something to get you off your game, like it still sucks, and you could still get really angry, but it's a lot easier to try and handle it or do what you have to. Even if you got to get back at it. Like he said, like he dropped the gloves, he took a couple of suspensions, and maybe he was hot-headed, and maybe he felt like he shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, like there was something he could kind of show or do. He wasn't completely helpless in that situation.
You gotta let him know, man. Right?
Yeah. Like like I remember 2 years ago with Masters, we were playing against Port Huron, and we had caught wind of a player, whether it was true or not, making racial remarks about how we had too many black guys on the team, and that's why we weren't doing well. Because we had 5 at that time, Masters. 5
crazy, man, crazy. Like I couldn't believe it. But yeah,
and we were all good.
Yeah.
We had not one of us was a bad hockey player.
Black power play almost. We were all on the ice.
Yeah.
You had the Russian 5 and the Midnight Charlie.
Yeah. Midnight.
Names are pending. That's a terrible name.
I remember hearing about that, and I got all the black guys together, and I'm like, look, like, we need to show out, like, this game. Like, I know we don't take nights off, but like, we really need to have a game tonight. And I remember going to coach and talking to coach and being like, you got to start all 5 of us. And I don't know if he thought that we were just going to like jump them and like slaughter them or something, but like really like we were just going to go play, like we were going to play tough, like good hockey and just dominate. That's what the whole idea was. And I remember we had said like anything that touches the puck is getting hit. But like we're going to play. And he refused to start us together. Like he wanted no part of it. And I remember, like, he's not a racist person. He didn't dislike me. He just didn't want to deal with it. He didn't want to be a part of that. He didn't want to be the person to start the first black line ever. He wanted nothing to do with it. And I feel like a lot of the times that's the issue. It's not necessarily like the ones who are like white supremacists. Like, I don't think there's a shit ton of white supremacists in hockey, but it's like the people who just don't want to deal with the backlash, people who don't want to deal with people saying like, oh, well, why are you helping them? They kind of, it's just inconvenient for them. And I think that's one of the bigger problems when that stuff happens.
And just on that real quick, I think that's the thing that's going on in hockey right now with, everything that's going on in the world, Black Lives Matters movement and oppression of African Americans and everything. I think that's where, you just haven't seen too many hockey players speak up. And I personally don't think it's because any of them are racist or any of them support, any of these white privileges. I think it's a lot of times hockey players, they just put their head down and they just want to work. They don't want to get any of that backlash. They don't want to deal with the outside things. Hockey players are known for just, going to work, putting the work boots on, showing up and getting the work in, and, winning hockey games, winning championships, trying to win the cup, things like that. That's where the hockey players aren't speaking up. It's because, and you've seen a lot of teams and a lot of players haven't spoke up. Still, a lot of times it's just because they don't want to deal with what they're going to hear back. They don't want to believe that these things are truly going on out there. Whether or not you want to consider them ignorant or really, I think it's just they're just unaware. They just don't want to acknowledge it. I think that's what's going on, and I think that's why we're all here today, is so that they will acknowledge that these things are going on and be aware of it, so they can help us, make hockey a more diverse game and make it a better game for everybody. Because I truly believe there's going to be a black guy out there who's going to be the next best hockey player in the league. He's going to be the next Sidney Crosby. He's going to be the next great one. Whether it's this Quentin Byfield kid who's coming out or whoever else, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be an African American kid, American or Canadian, that's going to be the best player in the league coming up here pretty soon. And I think. And it's going to be because of things like this that are going on, that they understand, okay, it is okay for me to play a sport that's predominantly white, which is okay. I'm not saying that hockey should be predominantly black. It's just, the way it is. Everybody up north and Canadians, a lot of them play hockey, which, makes it predominantly white. But I think you're going to see this diversity movement's going to allow African Americans to come out and be like, okay, I want to play hockey. I want to play a sport like that. I want to be good at golf. I want to be the Tiger Woods on the hockey rink. I want to play a sport like that. And whether or not it's funding or whatever it may be, I think they're going to open up pathways where it allows them, some of these underprivileged kids, to get out there on the ice and play a sport that they love.
So I have two things. I do agree with you partially on that. But obviously, you can't say one group is yes or no. But my thing is there are a lot who maybe just don't know, they're not aware. And some who maybe just, hockey players generally, they don't have much personality. They don't like anything that stands out. You do kind of just put your head down and work. However, I've seen a lot of other players speak up on politics, on the LGBTQ community, mental health awareness, breast cancer, women's rights, a bunch of different things. And you see them doing philanthropist work throughout the out season, charities, fundraisers, visiting hospitals, a bunch of stuff. But they were so silent and wanted really nothing to do with anything that had to do with racism. When the whole thing was going on with Peters, when Evander King was speaking up, when Alou was speaking up, they were silent, which was 2 weeks before the whole George Floyd thing. As soon as the George Floyd thing hits and everyone's talking about it, okay, I'm going to say my two pieces or whatever. But even though they brought it up, they still didn't really talk about racism within their sport. They were talking about politics, what was going on in America, but a lot of them kind of deflected anything geared towards the sport of hockey. And I know the reporter who contacted Alou, Evander, some other guys, when they went to contact players like Crosby, McKinnon, some other players, they refused to talk to them or speak or comment at all. So it is kind of a put your head down and not really create waves, but then why are they doing that in certain aspects and then not when it comes to race? There's another thing I was supposed to piggyback off of, but I can't remember.
I can answer that simply. It's because race is really uncomfortable to talk about. And I think all of us can agree. I mean, not necessarily for us, but for them. And, supporting the LGBTQ committee or organizations, that's a difficult one for a lot of them to talk about, the same people talk about as well, I imagine. But obviously race is something that would come to light that makes people really uncomfortable. And predominantly Caucasian people makes them really uncomfortable to talk about racism. Which, I'd say that's wrong, but they have to expose themselves to it to make themselves more comfortable with it. You know what I mean? As I imagine it'd be if we were white, we'd be uncomfortable talking about race, potentially, not to stereotype white people saying that they're not comfortable talking about race, but I imagine that's how it is. You know what I mean? That's why most of them probably aren't speaking up, because it's just, really uncomfortable to talk about for them.
And with the athletes, like, it's not only is it uncomfortable to talk about for them, but also it's driven by fear of being called out, fear of being that guy's man. Oh, he loves blacks way too much. Well, we all love everybody. Let's be honest. That fear of like management or coaching who will cut their minutes short or cut their contracts money or cut their money at all. Like, it's just fear. And like, you mix that uncomfortability with that fear, you combine that together, that like nothing's being done when you have those two combinations.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But if there's
George Floyd thing, like, everybody went on the wave with George Floyd. As soon as like 4 or 5 states started talking about it, then it turned to the whole country, then it turned to the whole world, then the athletes started coming in. But before this George Floyd thing, like with the Akeem Alou, and with our personal experiences as well with dealing with racial slurs in the game, like, when we deal with it ourselves, we're afraid to talk about it. But when the whole world is dealing with it, then we'll like add like our 2 cents.
Well, that's huge, because to be honest, like, for me, a lot of times, man, I didn't want to be seen as a black guy. I just wanted to be another player on the ice. So it's like, when they're like, hey, Masters, like, what's wrong? I don't even want to tell them, because I just want to be another player. Like, I just want to be a hockey player out there. I don't want to be different because of the color of my skin. I don't want to be treated different because the way I look. I just want to be treated the way I play, right? But like, so it's awkward for you to even talk about it yourself, even. Like, I know for me, like, even like I had good teammates and all that stuff, but like, man, sometimes things would get said in the locker room where like you're a little uneasy, but hey, I should probably shake this off, because like, what? I don't want them to think like, hey, they can't talk around me anymore, right? So these things happen, and it's like, I don't know, sometimes you got to roll with it and have tough skin. That's what a lot of people think. At least that's how I think sometimes.
Now, Marvin, I see you joined us as well here. I want to make sure that you get introduced in as well. Could you introduce yourself to the folks at home who will be watching today?
Okay. Hi, I'm Marvin Powell from Jackson, Mississippi. I play in the Federal Hockey League.
What's up, Marvin?
Everything else, sir.
I remember you, Marvin. I played with you in Atlanta for a little bit.
Yeah, like, I know Larry. Me and Larry played in Atlanta together, man. I grew up playing with that guy. I played with Eric. I played with Aaron. Like, it's kind of a good connection here. So I'm sorry I'm late. Is there any
black people time, eh, bud?
Yeah.
Honestly, I knew someone was gonna crack that joke. I was just wondering when.
I knew it was
It's not 8 o'clock. It's more like 10:30. 10:30. Not late at night, really.
The first one, because Aaron's always the one to give me crap, but in a good way. So like, when I hopped on right. And the first person I saw was Aaron, and I was like, okay, he's definitely about to give me the gears right here and right now. Like,
no, I'm trying to be professional right now.
I'm like, oh man, here's time to get embarrassed right away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I haven't even introduced myself, so I'm just gonna stay quiet. But
not to change it. Go ahead.
But with Eric, I guess, like, with what Eric was saying, like, I've had those moments too where like you get like riled up in the locker room, like you hear something, you're like, you have, like, I like to be seen as a player too sometimes, like, but there are also, I feel like some moments where I'm literally like, I can look at a teammate and just stare at him and he should know, like, hey man, that's not cool. And Aaron, you and I have had these situations before. Like, I can say right now that there have been times where like, I'm like, I gotta have thick skin, I'll be quiet. And Aaron's like, no, we're gonna correct you right now. And there you see that, so you get like different dynamics from multiple players. Like, I kind of flip-flop. There are times where like I do have to stand up and be like, yo, this is not okay. None of this is okay at all for what any of you just said, or one person might have said. And then there are times it's just like, I've got to have thick skin, because right now is not the time nor the place. But there's always going to be a time and place to like sit down and educate that person or those people. And I feel like sometimes, like, us as hockey players, like, we can hold a grudge and like, hey, we'll get them on the ice. Like, we'll let them know, like, we're going to have it out here. And that happens. Like, I can honestly say, like, I've had a moment or two where I'm like, you know what? having thick skin is not enough, and then educating is not enough. And you never wanted to see that point. I don't think like any of us ever want to get to that point. Like we love our teammates regardless. But it is that there is like not a gray area. There's just like a very fine line, I think, when it comes to like educating our surroundings, our teammates. Because let's be honest, most of us, besides that one time that me, Aaron, and Eric were on the same team, and there were 5 African Americans on the team, which has never happened before for me. We're just gonna have those moments, man, where we're just like a clarity of just like we have to think for ourselves. Like it's like I guess I'm sorry, as Alex was saying, like for speaking up and being able to like say things, it's kind of just a weird moment where you have to like pick and choose your battles, I guess. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like I've definitely had the time where I have picked my battles the wrong way and I've gone about it the wrong way and I've learned from it. And as far as like saying stuff and like when I guess at the point now where like I couldn't be worried about a contract. If I'm not going to be accepted by my team, I will not stand for it. I will not stand for playing for a team. If that player does not be removed, then I will remove myself because I have to start sticking up for myself because I'm the only one. So there are times when like, yeah, I might cower away, but it's also that time. It's like, I'm just going to wait for the right timing to educate this person. Or, you know, sometimes I want to be like Aaron and just be like, hold on, right away.
Oh, yeah, I don't give a damn.
It's like, yeah, you not give a damn.
Cuts them
You
down.
literally just go. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Like, I'm older, right? Like, I'm older than most of you. So, like, I obviously, when I was younger, for sure, like, there's times you can't speak up. Like, I would talk about this with Marvin. I'd talk a little bit about it with Masters. And sorry, I keep referring to Luke because he's like one of my best friends. And like, I grew up playing with him. Like, we're still good friends. We train together. I stay at his house sometimes. Like, I hang out with him. And I remember like growing up, and I remember him talking to me when all that stuff was going on with him in Rockford, and like when we went through our stuff together, and we were like, man, like, do we speak up or do we just let this go on? And if we speak up, like, when do we speak up? How do we do it? Like, should we write a book? Should we do this? Like, oh, maybe we shouldn't write a book because like our kids might get blacklisted because of us writing a book about it. So like we're scared of the next generation for just speaking up about it, injustice. Like it's odd. I can understand like the other players, like white players and stuff, being like it's awkward. Maybe they don't want to speak up because it's awkward and they're afraid of what like GMs or coaches would do. But like if it's not happening to you and there's a presence of fear that you speak up, then clearly there's an issue. You know, like I can see why we would be afraid to speak up, but if white athletes in that sport are afraid of what's going to happen, they've noticed there's an issue, they know what the issue is, and they know the repercussions of that issue to have fear. And that's a scary thing. So there's got to be a lot of work done when it comes to like coaches, GMs, and stuff like that to make this inclusive. I don't think there's too much of an issue with the players. Like Masters had said, like, you know, Jordan had said, like, you guys have had good teammates, like good camaraderie in the room. They've been behind you for most of the time. And, you know, you've really felt like you've been a part of the team. And that's one of the reasons why we play the sport. But when it comes to the higher ups, there's a bit of a divide when it comes to how things roll, unfortunately.
Now, just kind of, I mean, one of the most amazing, I mean, there's been a million amazing things on this, but I mean, to hear the idea of the word educate be used by every single person who has spoken on this panel, the idea that the feeling the need to educate other people when they're shouting a racial slur in your direction, to me is something that is the amount of control it takes as a person to not just compete athletically, to have the drive to compete athletically. It takes a switch. Everyone, we all know, when you get out there on the ice, you have to be able to flip that switch and turn on that competitive nature. And to still be thinking in the midst of that moment, in the heat of that moment, about educating someone, rather than retaliating is something that I think that every white hockey player watching right now, every parent, every coach, every owner watching right now should pay great attention to, because that is something that you don't have to think about on the other side of this story. You do not have to stop and think about educating someone or retaliating. You just get to retaliate. And just to confirm, every single person here, you have all been, at some point, have heard a racial slur in your direction on the ice. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I also
Yes,
started
sir,
like
absolutely.
3 fights on the ice after that. So. But
And that-
but yeah, I mean, we've all heard it. We've all been there. Right? And you have 2 types of players like that. You got guys like Aaron and Marvin who just calmly like sits back and then educates them. And then you have guys like me, a younger guy, who when he hears it, it's either you try to have that tough, thick skin, or you just stand up for yourself right there in that moment. Either you throw a punch or you say like, hey, dude, this ain't cool, back off, knock it off, or I'm going to knock it off for you, or something along those lines. And going Aaron's and Marvin's way is the best way to go. And for all the young kids watching out there, both white, black, like no matter what race you are, like hearing these 2 speak and hearing everybody speak, actually, hearing everybody speak about this subject is really key. And take this to heart and take some notes on this, because this is the most important thing you'll probably hear today.
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
when you hear those things on the ice, that's something. When people say those kinds of things, that's something that's bigger than hockey. You know, that's something that I would take that off the rink, and we'll have a discussion with that off the rink. You know what I mean? There's not many things, if anything, that I would say that about on the rink. Like when you chirp guys, you can chirp guys and make fun of guys all you want, you know, and that's all fun and games. I think that's all fair. But once you start making fun of people because of things that are out of the control, like disabilities, race, sexuality. Those things aren't to be joked about on the rink, and making slurs about those kinds of things. Those things are not to be joked about, and there should be repercussions for those kinds of things. Serious repercussions, because those are things that people are depressed because of those kinds of things. There are people out there, lesbians, bisexuals, LGBTQ community, all those things. People are depressed and killing themselves and committing suicide because of those things. I imagine there's people who have quit hockey because there was a racial slur being used against them, which isn't fair. That those people deserve the right to, play the game and experience what we experience. The good times, the bad times, the ups and downs through hockey. But there's so many people who are afraid to play the game because they're afraid of the backlash that'll happen when they play the game. They don't want to face the racism that they're going to see on the ring. That's why a lot of people don't play hockey. A lot of African Americans don't play hockey. A lot of African Americans don't play golf. When they hear about us playing hockey, they're like, "Oh, wow, you play hockey with all the white people? That must suck because you're probably getting made fun of all the time." You know what I mean? But they don't realize that, there is a lot of camaraderie in the game from your teammates, stuff like that. And whether you probably will experience some sort of racism on the rink at one point or another, there's a lot of good people out there that will take care of you as well. And I think everybody can vouch for me on that.
I got a question. I know we've all been called the N-word, but has anyone been called anything else that was that we would take derogatory?
Yeah.
But other people might kind of be well, maybe not.
I got called Mr. Jefferson one time in a lineup.
Dude.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was just
Mr.
wow.
Jefferson?
Yeah. I was waiting for
You don't even
general
look like that.
Yeah, I just I don't even know if I should be bad at this. All my teammates are even laughing in the freaking line behind me, and I'm like, wow. I'm just gonna soak that. I guess.
Yeah.
What about stuff like savage or something?
Yeah, like
Or
monkey.
a gorilla or monkey.
Yeah, I've been called porch
that
monkey.
Negro in there. That
multiple
makes
times.
me feel a little uneasy. Sometimes I'm sometimes the language is too strong, and the game of hockey is a game about respect mostly, and that's just far from it. And I've always been taught win with class, lose with class. So even if somebody's better than you and you want to give them the words and I think a lot of it has to do with kids are afraid of getting made fun of themselves. So they're going to find the best offense, the best way to make them stand above you. And if you're black, that one thing is that you're black. If somebody, if you're in a chirp match with somebody the one thing that they feel is going to defeat you is the fact that they're white and you're black, or you're black. So it comes down to win with class, lose with class, and definitely educating everybody on that aspect of the game.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, because I've noticed too, like, and this, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Like I said, like, I've been like where I am. I think where I was when I was younger, it happened so much for me that at one point I kind of just like, it was in one ear and out the other at one point. Like, it was just like, I would hear it every weekend to that point. Like, there's, but I think it's the one time where I had a teammate, and I wasn't afraid of him, but he would always, like you said, going back and forth to the point where, like, his best one was calling me a porch monkey. And for the life of me, at the age of like 15, I had to do like a triple take, and was like, what?
Yeah, that's
like,
rowdy, man.
That's like, and that shuts you up, because you have to think like, then at that point it's like, am I like fearful of you because this is what you're saying to me? And it turned into just like, I have to be quiet now. Like, I have to, because I would get in trouble if I did something. Yeah. Like, he'd skate behind me in practice and just whisper it. Like, and he knew that he knew that term would just get to me. And I was so like to myself, like, I wouldn't tell my parents, because like, how do I tell my parents that there's this kid that's picking up and calling me this name, but the team is awesome. I love everyone else, but this kid is just making my life, horrible. Like, I can't even, I get to the point where I'm not showing up to practice at this point. Like I'm only showing up for games.
Like, and then if your parents get involved, you're like looked at as like the trouble kid. Like, if your parents step up or say anything, like,
Mama's little
Good luck
boy.
moving up if your parents
if I did anything like that, that would, like, if I did anything aggressive, that just puts the stigma on me even more. You know what I mean? Like, going and telling my parents I'm a troubled child that doesn't know how to handle himself. So, like, what do you do in those aspects? And, like, from a young age, like, a black kid from Mississippi playing hockey, like, I had to learn at a very young age that just take it with a grain of salt and just roll with those punches until I got old enough to finally, when you hit that junior stage, when you could handle yourself a little bit more and you're able to act on certain things, and coach does have your back maybe, and, like, it just turns into these things, and then you have to, like, find yourself as a player too, right? Because now you're like, do I have to always fight when this is happening? Do I, like, but I'm this kind of style player, but now I got to brawl every time I hear this word. And it just, you play two parts, believe it or not. Like, every one of us has played two parts in this game where we have to assert ourselves in a way to let them know that we're not going to take it. But then also we have to play the game with grace to show them that, hey, we're not what you think we are. We're not a savage. I'm not a porch monkey. I'm not the N-word. I'm none of these things that you're calling me, because I handle the game and I play the game with class. But it's so, as a young age, like, you can't find the line on when to turn it on and off. You just have to sit there and unfortunately take it, unless you for me, I didn't have an outlet for it. I was the only black kid until junior hockey. So I didn't have a friend. My mom didn't have a black mom, or, certain parents. Like, when I played, I didn't hang out with anyone. No one wanted to hang out with me. Like, they'd go out to eat, invite everyone else but me. And, or it's it's a tournament weekend. The kids are in the hallway playing knee hockey, and they're like, oh, no, like, simple things like, no, we're already full, or, we caravan. Marvin, do you have a ride? No. Oh, well, you're going to have to get your mom to bring, like, there's an extra seat right there, Cheryl. I can see it. It's one of those things.
Come on,
like,
Cheryl.
It's just like one of those things that you can see that, pan out at a young age, and you have to self-navigate. You have to teach yourself patience. You have to teach yourself when to act and react. You have to teach yourself how to be so calm to the point where if you had multiple teammates that way, that you would just have to find your quiet place and then let it out there. Like, it's one of those issues where we don't talk about it, because at a young age, I was afraid to talk about it. And it just pans out to, like, these thin lines and these, like, as we say, like, we educate. But my question is, like, when is educating to the point where, like, enough? Because I'm pretty sure we've all had coaches that haven't had our backs, or we've had to deal with some unruly people outside of the rink that have, said a few things to us. You know, like I think there was a time, Aaron, I think it was when we were playing for Danville, and we had an incident in Carolina where like someone said something, and it was for the first time in my entire hockey career that I had like seen a coach stand up for me and him. It was absolutely insane. And I didn't even try to interject myself in a conversation. I just dropped my jaw and looked at it. Like, I played
we was
this
walking off the ice when that happened.
Yeah, we weren't even on the ice. We were walking. We were off the ice, leaving the ice, and we heard it. And it's one of those things, man, where you have all these PTSD. Like, I shouldn't say PTSD, but you have all these memories of just like, why, when, like it's happening over and over again. It's the same story, same chapter. You're just flipping pages, but nothing's being rewritten.
You know what's funny though? Like, there's so many things like that that's happened that I think I don't even remember all of them. I remember getting the email from you guys, and it was like, pick your worst like racist moment, and I'm like, well, shoot, that's kind of tough because like they're all like kind of, there's a couple that are worse, but like they're all, and there's a lot of them to pick from. But I do remember like just going back to the whole like name calling thing and how to deal with things. Like, I know me and Marv, like we were roommates in Danville, and we both like, he's a son of a pastor, like I'm a born again Christian. So like we had faith to kind of help us through things. And I know Masters too. Masters been up in my house. He's seen like prayers all over the walls and stuff. But my mom would tell me, my mom and my dad, but mainly like my mom, she'd be like, listen, like they see you as this angry, savage, unsophisticated, dumb athlete who's just all brawn, no brain. And you have to ask yourself when they call you those names, why are they calling you those names? Either just because they don't know any better, because they're uneducated, because they're trying to get a reaction from you. And if they're trying to get a reaction from you, what reaction is it? Oh, well, they want to prove that you're savage, that you're stupid, that emotions get the best of you, that you're an angry, violent black man. And that extended into like everyday life. So whenever anything happened to me, I'd be like, well, why are they trying to do this to me? Like, what reaction are they trying to get out of me? Oh, they're trying to get me to be like this? Well, I'm not going to give it to them. I'm going to sit back. Like Marv said, when I was younger, I would just suck it up. And when I got older, it's like, okay, well, now I've navigated sucking it up. Like, how do I really like figure out how to handle this? And so I started figuring out how to handle it. And me personally, when stuff happens, like I just call it out. And like Masters, Marv, they know that. And like other guys find a different way to deal with it. And education will help Marv, but it only helps the people who want to be educated. It only helps those who are doing it because they're uneducated, and sometimes they're educated but they still just won't like us. So like there's nothing we can do for those people. They're a lost cause. It's more of like educating, especially the younger generations, where they're still learning things. Like you don't just wake up and like, oh, I hate black people, like or they're like this, like they learn it, right? So it's more of the younger generation we have to educate. But yeah, it's been a whole game of trying to figure out how to deal with things, how to handle it, when to do things, when not to, when to speak up, when not to. And I think all of us have gone through that, like, and are still going through it. I'm just older, so I've come a bit closer to the and it's not really a finish line, but but man, for you guys who are younger, you're playing college, you're playing juniors, like shoot, I hope you guys I really hope you guys make it. I hope you get help along the way. I hope that, especially with this, people kind of open up their eyes, and not that they give you handouts because you're black, but like that they will look at you and be like, okay, he's black, and I see that, but like I don't really care. He's a good hockey player. He's a good human being. He has class. So hopefully, like us doing this and like educating people and spreading awareness helps. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, basically, we've had a deep conversation here, and one of the biggest viewership of our show comes from athletes that are young, right? Young hockey players who are either looking to make their way into juniors, looking to start off their career in hockey, looking to learn to skate, looking to make their way into college, maybe even collegiate athletes looking to play professionally one day, like a lot of you guys here on the show today. Do you have any advice? I don't know who wants to go first. I mean, if especially Aaron, Eric, I mean, Larry, Marvin, I mean, you guys who are doing this at the next level of the game, do you have any advice for that younger skater, for that younger player, whether it's Alex, who's on with us today, whether it's a guy who's still looking for his junior hockey team, or somebody who's maybe going through that collegiate recruiting process, trying to play college hockey? Do you have advice for that player who's going through what you went through a few years ago?
The advice that I have for that type of player that's going through all of this hateful, disgusting stuff is that find somebody that you know that will have your back 100% of the way through. Find somebody that will have your back. Like with me personally, like with the junior, looking for a junior team to play with. Honestly, I was sending out emails, talking to my AA coach, saying like, hey, can you help me out here? Sending emails to different teams. And as I send every email, the thing that's going in the back of my head is like, okay, if whatever team that I go to, or whatever team that invites me to the camp, will they have my back? And one day, got a call from my coach, or a text from my coach saying, hey, expect a call from Brett Wall. I'm like, okay, cool. So Brett Wall calls, Coach Brett Wall, coach of the Hudson Havoc, if you don't know. We talk, and like I eventually sign. But then as soon as this Black Matters movement starts up, right, I call him late at night before I go, be like, hey, coach, I'm kind of scared of putting the message out there, scared of coming up a little bit, worried about if there's any racism within the group of guys. Do I have to battle my own teammates and the people outside, or just the people outside with 21 other guys plus the coaches, like having my back and ready to go? And like using Aaron's and Marvin's analogy, my jaw kind of like dropped, and I was like filled with excitement when Coach Wall said that, hey, I'm not accepting any of this racist stuff. I ain't accepting neither none of those. And then the next week, or then today, this is like a couple of days before, then today, calls up a meeting with the whole entire team and says like, okay, look, team, this is what's going on. We're not going to have this racist stuff. Alex, you can educate us if you want to. You know what? Matter of fact, educate us right now. And basically just having somebody in your corner will help you out a lot. And I'm not going to forget. And also, don't forget where you came from too. Don't forget where you came from as well. Is that I came from Southern Maryland Sabres. Right? The people that had my back there, the most notable ones, in my opinion, Will Hunting, Bill Boyden. Went up to Virginia, looking for somebody to have my back there. Grady Little, Chris Kervelli, Alan Hudson, Brett Wall, and the whole entire Hudson Havoc in Hudson, Wisconsin. You have that support, and you persevere through life. Bro, it's like you're the most comfortable man in the world. Like nobody can stop you. That's my advice for little kids and the people that are going through this process today.
Yeah, that's really good. My advice would probably be, and words of encouragement would probably be, like I said earlier, just leave no doubt. Don't even give them the opportunity to say that you're not going to make it. We can't pick you for this team. No. I'm going to go on the rink. I'm going to be the best player. You're going to see it. You're going to know it. Everybody in the rink's going to know it. So there's not even going to be a question. That's always my motivation with that, whatever sport I played, because I played a couple different sports as well. Instead of my brother played college football at Mississippi State, and that was the same thing for him. He played football where he was, he played at a high school where it was almost all black. It was the same thing, leave no doubt. And that's the same thing that's always motivated us. Obviously, there's some things that can be out of your control. When you're getting picked for these teams and some of these higher ups, general managers, things like that, are making decisions based on race. Hopefully that's something that's eliminated and completely out of the game here shortly. That's all we're all fighting for. But I've always been motivated by the fact that, just don't even give people the opportunity to say that you're not good or that you won't make this team because you're black. No, I'm going to be the best player on the rink, and you won't have a chance to even say that. You know what I mean? That's something I've always motivated me.
I agree with you on that 100%. I guess I can bring my mom up in this because I'm a big mama's boy.
We all are. It's all right, dude.
But like, I guess like as Eric, like you said, like you be the best one there. Leave no doubt because I mean, like I said, bringing up like me growing up here in the South in Mississippi, there's no ice here for me, so I was already behind the eight ball if I wanted to go to any kind of tryout. You know, like by leaving no doubt, you literally have to train your mind off, man. Like it when it comes to it, unfortunately, like it was one of those things where my mom was like, when they do 10, you do 20. It's just that simple. You leave zero doubt. You make sure you can be the best you no matter what. Every day. I love my mom for it to this day because she's still where I can go on a run and she'd be like, "You're not exhausted. Get back. Like get after it. Go do some more sprints. Go, go, go." You push yourself harder than you possibly can mentally. And then after you push yourself there, you go a little bit further and you find something that is so amazing in yourself. We all have to do, you have to just do more. I mean, to be honest with you, and you show up to the rink, you're a minority. So you're already on everyone's radar. No matter what. If you're one of a few there, you're one in the locker room. You are already on the radar. So you've got their attention. It's just what it is. Now you've got to prove it. You've got to leave them no doubt that this is the person that we want. And that starts with, like I said, they do 10, you do 20. It's just a matter of mentally preparing and outworking your opponents for that one spot.
Another thing to add to that, one thing is, you can go in there, you work your ass off, right? You be the best you can be, try to be the best player on the ice. But let's say you make that team and you're in the season now, like you got the whole year, right? For me, I know one thing I wish I did when I was younger is set boundaries for your teammates even. Because sometimes your teammates don't even know when they're being a little bit, offensive to yourself, right? So, I know that I could have been better with that because there's some things, like, obviously you got to pick your own battles, but, it starts from the get-go, when you join a team. Because, they're going to feel you out a little bit, obviously. You can still be, hey, a great player on the team, and they bring you in, and, hey, they think you're just their brother. But they got to understand that there's some things that might still be offensive to you because you're a player of color, right? I know there was points in my career where I didn't set boundaries, and I was hearing it all year. You know what I mean? They might not be saying racial slurs like porch monkey or whatever, but it's just one black joke here and there is not too bad. Some are pretty funny, to be honest. But when I'm hearing it hey, 10 times a practice or 10 times a day, it's okay, man, it's getting out of hand now, right? I remember one time, if you guys know court, if you guys ever play at a certain level, you're gonna see you're gonna have kangaroo court in hockey where you get fined for certain things. I'll be honest, as a liability sometimes, I find a decent amount.
Yeah.
Hey, he's telling me like it is, though. He's telling the truth, though.
Mostly off ice, but hey, kid likes to have fun sometimes. But down. Anyways, I remember I was playing for a junior team in Virginia before I came back to Canada. It was Richmond, actually, and man, this one kid, he was I want to find Masters for being black, right? I was just all right, right there, I got to handle this now, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's where the line's drawn right there.
Yeah, see, if I set my boundaries and set limits on where they could go from the get-go, that may not happen, right? That shouldn't happen. But if I just did that from the get-go, if I wasn't scared to say, hey, all right, easy there, calm down, it's a little bit too much, then that wouldn't happen.
I agree with you, Masters, when you say, set those boundaries early on. Because if you wait too long in the season, a lot of kids will be comfortable saying things. They probably already said it behind your back once or twice, and you might not have heard it. But one thing I want to tell kids is to just know yourself and be proud of that. Yes, I'm black. Yes, I'm the only one at this rink. Yes, I play hockey. A lot of black people don't play hockey, but be proud of that and take pride in the fact that you are a part of the growing world that we are living in. And diversity is a beautiful thing, and I think that the game of hockey is going to be doing well with that, and we're starting to expand this game and starting to educate people on the ideas and the morals of different cultures, and I think that's huge, and I think a lot of young African Americans in particular are going to have a big job in creating that narrative and creating it in a positive way, which I'm confident in. But like I said, we all spent our life trying to rationalize racism and how it affected us. And look at us now, we're in our early 20s, mid 20s. And it's like we're still thinking about how it affected us and how it affects our morals. So like I said, know yourself and don't be afraid to take pride in who you are at any given moment. Whether you're on the ice, off of the ice, in school, in your workplace, whatever it is, be black, be proud at all times of your life.
Hey, James Brown said it best. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Like one thing, Dan K and Lucas, one thing you go hear from me this upcoming year is AXG. That's just me. Like you have PK Subban, Pierre, whatever K Subban, and you're gonna hear me, Alex Grove. Like, legit, you're gonna hear AXG all day. If you come and call one of my games, I'm gonna point up to you and say, look, I'm here, I'm ready to go. Because I'm not going to leave no down the ice. I'm confident in who I am. I know where I stand. I know that we have boundaries within our teammates to keep that chemistry gel together and uptight. Like, when you use the very best thing that builds you confidence, like with me saying AXG and putting it all out there to the world, when you use that, you have not only the utmost confidence in the world, but you feel unstoppable at that moment. Feel like nothing's going to bring me down. You may call me an N-word. You may call me Kunta Kinte. You may call me this ape or monkey or whatever. You may call me these things. But I have my pride. I know that I have family backing me up, teammates backing me up. I know I have the big man upstairs, G-O-D, God, helping me out and protecting me on this journey. You are not going to stop me. That's the one thing that's going to help you out. Or
For sure.
Because I already said two.
Sure, my man.
Like just jumping off of that, like you can't let them show that like what they're doing is working. You can't let them show that they're breaking you. Just anything I want to say to the next generation, like some of you guys, younger guys, kids, toddlers, teens, adolescents, whatever, young adults, is don't let anyone take the game away from you. They're going to do a lot of things to get you to quit because they know that once we start something and we are really invested in it, they can't stop us. So don't let them put you in situations. The only one who's going to stop you from really playing the sport that you love is you. So just don't let them stop you from doing that. Don't let them take you out of it. Don't let them push you to the side. Like, just stick with it. Little side note, like from Masters thing with court and like guys like pushing boundaries too far. One thing I used to do was when I came into a team, whether it was a new team or I'm returning, there's new guys, I would crack a black joke like right off the start, and I would see, and I would see like who laughs, who's kind of awkward about it, who's kind of shy, who's just chuckling with his head down, and which guy is like, as soon as you say it, he's just chomping at the bit to jump off on more black jokes. And so you really see now who's been waiting for the door to open, like who's looking for an excuse to say it. You look for the guys who are awkward and like they really want no part in it. And you can just kind of like, depending on what they're like, you kind of just like that guy who jumped right off, like you pull him in check, and then the other guy, you try to make him feel more comfortable. And then the other guys who are kind of like, they're usually like okay about it. So that's just something I used to do. I know Marv knows that. I know Master knows that.
I remember. I remember the exact moment you did it because you were like, "Watch this," And this is how you know, because Aaron kind
He even said, watch this.
So it was my rookie year, and Aaron took me under his wing, man, a lot. And he literally, like, I honestly, like, when Alex said, like, you need to find someone, like, if I didn't have Aaron there, I'm pretty sure, like, mentally, this was the first year, like, I was like, I don't think I can take this. Like, this is too much. And it wasn't my teammates. It was just the surroundings of me, like, where we were. Like, when
Illinois.
Like, it was just one of those things, man. And, like, Aaron is like, watch this. He goes, this is how I would always do it. And I would never forget it. And he did it. And I looked at him like, what are you doing? And he goes, now look around you. And I just looked around, and there's a few chuckling. There's some that are so scared to pick their eyes up and stare at Aaron. And then there's one or two that are literally there like, oh.
Let me one up you. Let me
Aaron's
one
like,
up
no,
you.
you two, no, stop. Like, he just shut it down. He goes, and that's how you do it. And I was like, I'm like happier already, man.
Yeah, but don't copy me because it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work.
No,
it's just,
it doesn't.
It's just something I like doing.
Find your own thing.
Yeah,
Find your own lane.
that's good. We used to do
At the end of the day, you're gonna have to have thick skin though playing this sport. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
it's not gonna change. It's a predominantly white sport. Whatever. Be proud of being a black player playing the sport. You're rising above certain things, right? Like, and sometimes laughter it gets you by.
right.
Like, yeah, I love cracking those jokes. Like,
I think with me playing juniors, every time I walk in the locker room, I'm like, guys, like, you know, we do court, like you said. You know, if you say something that I don't like or it's racially inclined, I'm gonna fine you. And we made racial fines max fines in every locker room that I was in. So any instant kid says something wrong, you know, $5 right there, or, you know, $10 right there. And it got to the point where I didn't have to be around for somebody to chalk it up. You know, kids would hear it and be like, "Oh, you know, I'm gonna get you in court." So guys started to hold each other accountable for that sort of thing. You know, by the end of the year, a lot of guys started to understand that they were, you know, saying things that shouldn't have been said. You know, their wallets getting burned through. At least in juniors, it's probably their parents' money they're burning through. But that's the thing, is just holding people liable and holding them accountable for those situations.
Now,
That's a good idea.
guys, one thing that we do here at the end of every show is we have our parting words. For those of the guys that have watched the show, it's usually Lucas and I, we have our final say of each episode. And this week, I think it's important for each guest to get their chance at their parting words. And it can be whatever you think these parting words need to be, whether it be societal, whether it be state of the game, whether it be just a note for viewers watching at home. I guess we'll start here. Jordan, I'll put you in the driver's seat here, and I'll let you start off. It's, first of all, folks, Jordan did such an incredible job bringing together so many different athletes today and so many incredible stories. And Jordan, I'll let you kick it off. We'll put you on the spot here. Your parting words for today's show.
So, Dan K, I just want to thank you and Lucas for putting this all together. I also want to thank all the boys for responding to me and being willing to be a part of this. You know, I got really excited when Dan texted me. I was like, damn, I get to, you know, hit up Masters, hit up Larry, hit up all these guys that, you know, I probably haven't spoken to in a little bit of time. So I was just really happy that we got to reconnect and hopefully get a message out there that people will listen to and maybe get a better understanding of the background that black athletes and black hockey players go through growing up. So thanks again, guys, and looking forward to, you know, the future of the game and what black hockey players can do for it.
Alex, I'll put the rookie on the spot next year. We'll make you go early in it here.
Damn. I was expecting to go last, but anyways, Jordan, hell of a job putting this all together, man. Thank you for letting us get our voices out there. Dan and Lucas, thank you for working with Jordan on this one and putting this all together. Like I said, AXG 44. I'm telling you, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out. Hudson, AXG 44. He's coming.
I hear you.
To all the guys, Aaron, Masters, Larry, Marvin, thank you guys for your wisdom. And as a rookie going to juniors, we'll take all the advice and all the lessons that you guys gave to heart, and you guys really helped me out in a big way. Thank you for that. AXG out.
I like it, man.
I'll go next here to Aaron. Aaron, how about yourself? Your parting words for today's show.
Thanks, Jordan, Dan, Lucas, for putting this together, for giving us the platform to speak so people can hear, raise awareness, to educate. I want to thank Marv, Masters, Lawrence, Alex. You guys are still in your career, still making your way, and it's not easy to speak up about this in your position. I'm a bit later on in mine. So honestly, it's pretty commendable for you guys to be here doing this. It's not easy. So thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for having me to be a part of this. And I'm going to be following you guys. I hope you get what you want, what you deserve, that you keep loving the game, and that we can share that love together, whether it's through social media or I meet you guys or end up on the opposite side of you guys one day or on the same team, down the street, whatever. But really praying for all of you guys, and thanks.
Incredible. Now let's go to Marvin here. Marvin, your parting words for today's show.
Oh, Lucas, Dan, and Jordan, man, thank you guys. It's an honor, and I'm truly humbled to be a part of this. I just want to say for anyone listening, guys, it's change is coming. Believe it or not, it is. It may seem kind of bleak, and things are very rocky right now. We're making waves in a way that is in my 28 years I haven't seen. So this is something to make this progression, to help this sport be more diverse. To the guys, man, hearing everyone talk, it's good to see Aaron. I can't wait to see you this season, man. Masters, you too. Please stop hitting me.
Masters is a piece of work.
No,
he just hacks. He hacks all the time. He's playing that Saskatoon hockey.
Gotta let him know you're there, bud. Gotta let him know.
Larry,
okay,
man, good to see you again, dude. It's been so long since it's been so long. We were children when I last saw you, so it was this is great. Alex, man, I wish you nothing but the best. Jordan, you too, in your careers. I like what we have here, guys. Let's stay connected. Everyone that's listening to this, just make sure when you go out into the world and when you go into the sport, we handle it with elegance. We handle it with class, and we show them that we can play the game in a way that they think what they already think of us isn't a thing. We can change the game, and we've started it right now. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for even having me be a part of this.
All right, Eric, I'm going to go to you. Larry, you'll be closing it out. So, Eric, take it away with your parting words.
Ooh, big job for Larry.
Well, first, I just want to thank Jordan, because I actually haven't heard from him in a while, but it was nice to hear from him. And honestly, the opportunity, Dan, Lucas, for this, because to be honest, the day before all this stuff was going on, I was thinking man, I feel like I should be saying something, doing something. I've had experience that a lot of people haven't, right? Growing up in the prairies, freaking playing by myself. I didn't play with any black players until I was 17. It was an experience for me, but hey, we all have our trials and tribulations that we go through in life, right? And you can either take them to tear you down or take them to build you up. And I would say, for one thing, just be proud of who you are, and don't let them take the game of hockey away from you. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say.
Now, Larry, I'll go to you. The final parting words of today's show.
Yeah, once again, thank you guys all for putting this together, and thank you everybody for joined. It's really great talking to you guys and hearing your stories and seeing where you guys have come from and where you're going. And just touch on, don't worry, everybody. Hockey is a great sport. We all love hockey, but remember, there's more to life than hockey. There's more to your life and more that's going on outside of hockey for you. So if hockey doesn't what takes you where you want to go, then remember, there's still college. Get an education. I got my master's degree. Keep moving forward. Educate yourself inside and outside of your culture and other cultures as well. So, but my advice would be to younger players, just to embrace who you are. Kind of building off what Eric said, embrace you. I found myself, when I've talked to other African American players coming through hockey, they were like, "Oh man, I wish I was just white. I wish I was a different race. So I didn't get stared at, this, that." And I even found myself wondering that too at times. Like, damn, I wish I was just white, so it'd be easier to just play this game and not have to deal with the racial slurs, deal with the animosity towards the things like that. And I just want other African American players out there to know that's not it. That's not it. Embrace who you are. Be you. It's okay to be black. It's okay to stand out and be proud of who you are. And that's, there has to be autonomy. Everybody can't be the same. There has to be someone who stands out. And luckily, you're the one that has a skin that makes you stand out, and you're gonna be the best player in the ring too. So stand out for being the best player as well. They can say you're black, and that's how I came up too. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're that black kid who was really good." Yeah, I am that black kid, and I am really good. Exactly. I'm glad you put those two things together. I'm the black kid, and I am really good. So don't be afraid to be that person, to be that guy.
Gentlemen, I thank you all so much. I heard a lot of thank yous today from each of you here, and the thank you is supposed to go your way. This isn't a thank you moment. This is a human moment, ladies and gentlemen. And this is an issue in our society today that all it takes is information. All it takes is education. All it takes is taking a second to realize we are all in this together in this world. This sport is for everyone. This country is for everyone, and this world is for everyone. We have so many young athletes here today. If you have a family member at home who might not share your viewpoint, who might not be as informed as you think they should be, take a stand, talk to them, find out why, and try to help, try to inform. We're here for you. We're here for every athlete, every player, every hockey player we encounter. If you have a story you'd like to share, if you'd like to be like one of these incredible, incredible men that joined us here today, reach out to us at www.dankshow.com. You can contact us there. We will be having more conversations. We will be talking more. If this conversation today made you uncomfortable, look in the mirror and ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. It's an amazing time right now. It's an amazing time for our game. And there are some huge things coming. There are some big things coming in this game for all of us. And the more inclusion we have in the world, the more inclusion we have in the workplace, the more inclusion we have in the education sector and on the ice and in all sports, the better they become. Gentlemen, it was an absolute honor to share your stories today. And I can't wait to see. This is a long road ahead. It was a small step today, but let's hope that we start to all accelerate together as a society and see this change. Thank you so much, gentlemen, all for joining us today in the Dan K Show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Wait, hang on. Lucas, hi.
Hi, Alex.
All right, cool. He talks. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for having me. See you later.